General Hospital spoilers tease that Port Charles is undergoing a powerful emotional transformation, as unexpected and magnetic new couples begin to emerge. Gone are the days of slowly built relationships or classic romantic tales. These are fiery connections, ignited by unpredictable situations, electrifying chance encounters, and above all, spontaneous kisses that blur every boundary. Characters who once seemed worlds apart are now pulled into each other's gravitational fields, sparking a wave of new pairings that have the entire town buzzing. These first kisses don't happen under moonlight with candlelight dinners, but in the chaos of secrets, pressure, and inner conflict. They mark not just the beginning of new relationships, but direct hits to the emotional status quo, knocking everyone involved off their usual paths. One particularly steamy kiss has become the town's hottest topic, not just for its emotional charge, but for the unforeseen psychological and social consequences it may unleash. In a place like Port Charles, where every glance and gesture is noted and analyzed, a public kiss is never just about two people. It's a declaration. It's a challenge. And in this case, it's a catalyst for a series of emotional realignments, shifts in perception, loyalty, and position within the town's tightly woven social web. These kisses, though seemingly spontaneous, quickly become the center of gossip, of mixed reactions, and of secret retaliation. While some are intoxicated by the passion and novelty, others spiral into confusion and unease. This emotional explosion gives rise to a new obsession, a psychological whirlwind not easily tamed. Even the strongest are beginning to doubt themselves. They question their pasts, their true feelings, and what it really means to do the right thing, or at least to avoid doing harm. Some feel replaced, abandoned, or cast out of circles they once believed they belonged to. These kisses, far from being mere signs of budding love, are turning into milestones marking the unraveling of old bonds. In this storm of change, every name, every newly formed couple sends ripples throughout Port Charles. Cody and Molly, Lucky and Christina, Jason and Sasha, Isaiah and Elizabeth, each of them is writing a new chapter in their emotional journey, and in doing so, affecting countless other relationships around them. Each of their actions becomes a breaking point, a potential domino in the fragile social structure of Port Charles. And inevitably, these changes extend beyond the couples themselves. They shake families, impact careers, complicate covert missions, and unsettle long-standing political and personal alliances. The new allure doesn't come from sweetness, but from the depth of suppressed emotion, the danger of loving the wrong person, and those daring moments that cross lines no one admits to even seeing. Port Charles is burning from within, not from physical conflict, but from emotional earthquakes triggered by a single kiss. And as people begin to see each other differently, as former enemies become potential lovers, and trust is misplaced, it's these kisses, intense, instinctive, and ultimately destructive, that signal the arrival of a new, chaotic, and dangerously seductive era. And, as always in General Hospital, no one can say whether these kisses will lead to true love or ignite ruthless emotional warfare. But one thing is certain. Port Charles will never be the same again. The town is entering a seismic period of transformation, where romantic weddings intertwine with messy love triangles and power-fueled, desire-driven relationships. Port Charles, already no stranger to upheaval, now faces a new wave, not just because of the joyful smiles at upcoming weddings, but due to the quiet shifts reconfiguring the emotional worlds of those who once thought they knew their own hearts. Among them, Sasha and Jason stand out like a lighthouse in the storm. Yet behind their solid bond, darker undercurrents are quietly dismantling other couples, making Port Charles more dangerous and seductive than ever. After all the loss and pain, Sasha has finally found rare peace with Jason, a man who once seemed distant and emotionally unavailable but has stepped into her life as a pretend father, a confidant, and now possibly her true partner. Their love didn't come from fleeting attraction or impulsive passion, but from resilience, healing, and shared existence when everything around them was falling apart. They've learned not only to endure pain together but to rise above it. If their wedding does happen, it would be more than a personal milestone, it would mark the beginning of a new emotional alliance in Port Charles, a power couple bound not just by love, but by respect, determination, and loyalty in every action. However, as Sasha and Jason move toward a hopeful future, tangled love triangles are fracturing other relationships. Cody, Molly, and TJ are trapped in a situation none of them will admit to, but the emotions are undeniable. Molly, once the epitome of reason and stability, is being drawn toward Cody, a man who offers her freedom, adventure, and raw instinct she's never felt with TJ. While TJ tries to maintain a relationship built on duty and history, Cody stirs something deeper within Molly. Something even she struggles to understand. Every silent gaze, accidental touch, and charged moment between them signals a shift that no one dares name. If Molly lets go, TJ won't just lose a partner, he'll face the painful truth that love cannot survive on habit and obligation alone. Elsewhere, the emotional portrait grows even darker and more intense with Lucky, Liz, and Isaiah. Liz once returned to Lucky after years apart, hoping to rebuild a life from the fragments of old love and unresolved pain. But Isaiah's quiet, steady presence is now making her question what true happiness really looks like. Unlike Lucky, Isaiah doesn't bring nostalgia, he brings hope. He doesn't ask Liz to dig into her past, but invites her to imagine a future where she is loved without apology. Lucky, who believed his love for Liz was the last untouched piece of his past, now finds himself left behind in an emotional race he may no longer win. Isaiah isn't competing openly, but his quiet consistency is making things clear. Liz's heart is searching for something new, and she knows she must choose between the safety of old love and the freedom of something new. Even more haunting, and dangerously thrilling, is the twisted connection between Jordan and Sidwell. What began as a false romance built on deception is turning more real by the day. Jordan entered Sidwell's life as part of a covert mission to gather intel and bring down this powerful figure. But she didn't expect Sidwell to be so captivating, not just ruthless and fearsome, but irresistible. At first, Jordan believed she was in control, that each kiss and feigned surrender was just another step toward her goal. But she's the one losing control. Every time Sidwell pulls her close, the line between mission and emotion fades. As desire merges with duty, and feelings outpace strategy, it is Jordan who's becoming manipulated. Their relationship is becoming a dark focal point in Port Charles's web of power. If Sasha and Jason represent love forged through trust, Jordan and Sidwell embody a love twisted by deceit and manipulation. They don't share ideals or goals, but they do share long nights of passion, dangerous lies, and reckless dives into darkness neither of them can escape. From dream weddings to tangled love triangles and desire-laced power plays, these stories are redrawing the emotional map of Port Charles. In this new painting, love is no longer just a feeling, it's a tool, a statement, a weapon. While some prepare to walk down the aisle in white, others wonder whether they've lost control of their hearts or become pawns in a game bigger than themselves. Yes, weddings will happen, but so will heartbreak, betrayal, and unrealized dreams. And Port Charles, as always, will never be the same again. Port Charles is being swept into an unstoppable emotional storm, as love stories grow more chaotic, dangerous,
and break free from the emotional templates its residents once knew. Love, once seen as a sanctuary, a safe haven after every upheaval, is now the very reason everything is spiraling into madness. New couples are forming, weddings are being planned, old relationships are being threatened, and love triangles are gradually being exposed. All these elements are colliding and intertwining,
creating an emotional tapestry as tangled as it is compelling. What once felt sweet and warm now carries the bitter aftertaste of pressure, betrayal, and rising fear. Sasha and Jason, an unlikely pair, are emerging as a new emotional force amid the collapse of those around them. Their love didn't begin with recklessness, but with solidarity through pain, with quiet handholds when everyone else turned their backs. Jason, with his rare silence and unwavering loyalty, is not just a protector but a symbol of stability that Sasha never had in her long journey through grief and loss. If their wedding takes place, it won't just be a ceremony, it will be proof that love can rise from the ashes, that two lost souls can still find each other in the storm. Yet as they near happiness, the spotlight of Port Charles intensifies. Pressure from judgment, skepticism, and unresolved secrets begins to seep into their seemingly unshakable bond. Meanwhile, not all couples are as fortunate. Cody, Molly, and TJ are entangled in an unexpected and undeniable love triangle. Though Cody entered Molly's life as an accidental friend, he has become a catalyst disrupting the stability she thought she had. Once deeply rooted in a relationship built on reason with TJ, Molly now finds herself drawn into a whirlwind of unspoken emotion, where instinct and the desire to live authentically are overtaking duty and commitment. TJ, who believed that honesty and shared history would keep them together, is now forced to watch an ever-widening gap grow between him and the woman he loves. Cody doesn't need to push or speak much, his presence alone declares that love cannot survive on stability if passion and genuine feeling are absent. Elsewhere, a quieter storm brews between Liz,
Lucky, and Isaiah. Liz once believed that reuniting with Lucky would bring a full-circle end to their turbulent past. But Isaiah, calm, grounded, always listening,
never judging, has made her feel unconditionally loved for the first time. Lucky, once a symbol of shared memory and unresolved longing, now finds himself on the verge of losing the woman he thought would always belong to him. Liz is torn between two worlds, what is familiar and safe, and what is unknown but filled with hope. She cannot fully abandon her past, but she also cannot deny that Isaiah stirs something within her that Lucky no longer can. In that silence, a major emotional shift is unfolding, threatening to tear apart what little remains. But the height of instability and danger lies in the relationship between Jordan and Sidwell, a bond not built on mutual affection but on manipulation, deceit, and repressed desire. Jordan entered Sidwell's life as part of a mission, a plan, a tactical operation. But Sidwell is no pawn, he's a master of power games, wielding deadly charm and keen awareness of others' vulnerabilities to control and consume. Jordan, once confident she was orchestrating every move, is now trapped in a relationship where truth and fiction blur. She begins to doubt herself, wondering if every touch, every kiss, every look from Sidwell is still part of the game, or something that's beginning to scar her heart for real. As duty and emotion intertwine, she realizes that she is the one being manipulated in a game with no exit. In Port Charles, love is no longer a choice, it's a weaponized psychological force. Relationships are no longer sweet escapes, but tools of control, revenge, concealment, and survival. Hugs become emotional traps. Declarations of love become strategic plays. Weddings become masks for truth. And those who were once paragons of strength, loyalty,
and reason now find themselves on the verge of collapse under the weight of uncontrollable emotion. What was once romance is now madness. What was once longing is now obsession.
Port Charles isn't just witnessing love stories, it's enduring a full-blown emotional assault, where love is the most dangerous weapon, where every decision has consequence, and where no one can say for certain whether they're truly in love, or simply pawns in a deadly game.
Adding fuel to this upheaval is the shocking truth about Joe's real identity and the sudden return of Michael, two seemingly separate events that are shaking the emotional, relational,
and power structures of Port Charles to their core. These revelations are pushing every major character into a state of tension never before seen. Every action, every word, every glance now carries unpredictable weight. Long-buried secrets and long-forgotten blood ties are resurfacing as if to remind everyone that no one is truly safe, especially with covert shifts quietly restructuring what were once considered stable relationships. The revelation that Gio is the biological son of Brooke Lynn and Dante has sent shockwaves through both the Quartermaine and Falconeri families, not just because the truth was hidden for so long, but because those complicit in the deception, Lois, and even Tracy, have been entangled in decades of lies and control. Once seen as an outsider, Geo is now an inseparable part of two of Port Charles's most powerful families. But instead of bringing him closer, the truth pushes him further away. Brooke Lynn's inability to embrace her maternal feelings, Dante's guilt and shame for unknowingly mistreating his own son, and the community's shifting perception of Geo, all are pushing him to the edge. Geo is no longer a child seeking love. He has become a living testament to buried truths, a haunting symbol of past mistakes for everyone who once turned their back on him. And that's only half the story. Michael's return, after vanishing amidst drama with Sonny and Carly, feels like a second blow, sending shockwaves through Port Charles. No longer the young man caught in family conflict. Michael returns with a world-weary gaze and a new, darker, more calculated energy. What he experienced during his absence remains unknown, but his silence speaks volumes, unsettling those around him. He's not just back to visit, he brings with him a purpose, perhaps a plan, a reckoning, or even a bid for control. He speaks little, but the way he looks at Sonny, Carly, Brooke Lynn, and Dante makes the air in every room feel heavier. Michael's return, combined with Joe's emergence as family, is shifting the town's entire emotional foundation. Even small interactions, a handshake, a passing conversation, an awkward hug, are now loaded with suppressed emotion, unresolved resentment, and long-hidden betrayals. The emotional tension in Port Charles is stretched like a taut wire, ready to snap. Previously unshakable bonds, between Sonny and Michael, Brooke Lynn and Dante, Lois and her daughter, now teeter on the edge of collapse. And no one knows when it will all explode. These shifts are no longer about who loves whom or who betrayed whom. Now, every move is strategic, every word carries intention, and every action is being watched. Love, loyalty, and family ties are all being re-evaluated, tested by newly exposed truths and old secrets still lurking in the shadows. Port Charles may still look radiant and peaceful on the outside, but beneath the surface, it has become a stage where everyone wears a mask, and each mask could fall at any moment, revealing fractures that cannot be mended. A new obsession is taking hold, not fueled by blood or violence, but by the unraveling of what was once sacred, family, love, and truth. And when those values are thrown into doubt, distorted, and reversed, the entire emotional order collapses. Geo, by simply existing, reflects everything the adults tried to bury. And Michael, with his quiet but deliberate return, becomes the spark of a new era, one where no one is on the sidelines anymore. When truth becomes a tool of manipulation. When family becomes an obligation warped by control. When the children who suffered return to confront the past. Port Charles is no longer a town of romantic beginnings, it has become a maze where emotions turn into war, where love wears the face of vengeance, and where every name and bloodline carries an unbroken curse. And this is only the beginning.